All right, we've done a lot of crying, I know. So one thing that, one situation that's come of all of this is that I think we all realize that we're always going to want more time. We're always going to want one more minute, one more day, one more week. So be sure to hug the ones you love. I mean, we had a yay God moment this week with my Uncle Eddie and little Eddie. And I know my dad is just jumping for joy up in heaven because family's so important. And I just love all you guys. I mean, his siblings, my mom's siblings, this whole family. Like, I was talking to some of my cousins that I haven't seen in years, and I said, Stephen made a suggestion that we should have done like a reunion last year, like an Orleski family reunion. So now it's so important. Take pictures, because I know we want to have these pictures every time we're together. So, but anyway, I just wanted to say, on a little lighter note, my dad, he was always the life of the party, right? Everybody can agree with that. He was the life of the party all the time. He was a mountain of a man. He was a man of integrity, honor, grit, perseverance, dedication, and devotion. He was the barometer of what a husband should be to my mom, always concerned about her first. She was the love of his life. He was steadfast in his devotion to his family, just like Father said today in church. As I look back, I honestly cannot remember a time in my life when I was mad or upset at my dad. I mean, I laid in bed last week trying to think of a time I was mad at him, and I don't ever remember being mad. And I was kind of like Uncle Mike, like you can never get mad at Uncle Mike. It's true. I mean, in fact, almost everybody in this room, I don't remember a time that anyone was mad at my dad. And I know they call him Junior, by the way. He was just the type of person who emulated the love and forgiveness of Jesus. What I love most about my dad, the leader of our family, is that he always set the example through his actions, not only through his words. So some of my favorite memories of my dad include, of course, him walking me down the aisle. He and my mom actually walked me down the aisle at the church here. That was just a moment I will never forget. But last year at my mom and dad's 50th wedding anniversary, it's one thing I'll never forget. Aunt Millie helped us coordinate that, even though she said she wasn't. She was the instigator. She helped us coordinate that major event, and trying to plan that from far. My brother and I and my sister living, my sister and I living in Las Vegas and Stephen in Texas. I mean, we had to really put a lot of the burden and planning on Aunt Millie, and she would get box after box. So we are so glad that we had that event last year. I mean, Mom doesn't like parties, so she's like, I don't want to party. But my dad, he loved parties. So I mean, that was just something we look back, and it was an event that we'll never forget. And we love celebrating with my mother and father. And for me and my siblings, it was our chance to showcase our deep gratitude for our parents. One other thing I'll never forget is my dad dancing at my wedding, and I have the video to prove it. So at my wedding, he was doing the twist, out on that dance floor, in fact. And Aunt Virginia pushed him over on the dance floor. You remember that? And he fell over, and they were just having such a great time. It was fun. My mom got drunk at that wedding, too, by the way. That just popped in my head. So they had a great time. But I remember that. We have that on video, too. So we're working on getting all these things put on video, too. So my dad loved being a grandfather. And he didn't want to be called Grandpa or anything. He wanted to be called Papa John instead of Grandpa. And it was a hit with all the kids. Papa John, and I think Quincy had a fun name for him. What was it, Mom? She called him something, Papa Hobo. Because sometimes, because he's always like working in the yard, cleaning up. So when she was little, she just said, Papa John looks like a hobo. So,
you mean the one who was picking her nose on a table?
Yeah, the one who was picking, oh my gosh. So if you haven't watched the video, which I'm sure you've all seen the video, we were trying to put all the photos in the video, and Stephen put a picture of Quincy picking her nose. Papa John probably would have laughed at that, so. And so all the grandkids loved Papa John. He was loving, compassionate, patient, but always expected them to be on their best behavior. And there were a few challenges. One Christmas, I brought all 3 kids out, and Spencer. So Spencer over there, raise your hand. He was a devil of a kid, and it's crazy because he's going to be a pastor. He's going to be a pastor now. He wants to see, he's going to be a worship leader. And so one year he did not want to do his homework, and I could see my dad just getting so frustrated with him, giving him every life lesson that my dad knew. I think if anyone in this family challenged Papa John, it was Spencer. But he was great with all the kids, so loving, and everything that he did with us growing up, throwing us in the pool, you know, teaching the kids how to ride a tractor and cut the grass, paint the fence at the house. I mean, that's really how kids learn to be strong, is to give them chores, lots of chores. Okay, this is a really fun one. So we lived in Kansas because we were a military family, and at Trevor's baptism, we were at an Orthodox church. Stephen was the godfather. So Stephen had Trevor. My dad's one job, he had one job, and that was to watch Spencer. Here we go again. Spencer was 2 years old. And so his only job was to watch Spencer, to keep him in you know, not run around. 2-year-olds run around like crazy. So what happened? Spencer got away from him a bit, jumped off the pew, and ended up with a huge black eye. And then after that, during the same baptism, he went out to the hall and hid under the table. We couldn't find him, so we all had to do a search party for him. But that was an adventure, and we had some pictures. And actually, the night before my dad passed, we had the photo album of all the kids, and we walked him through all those photos. And he remembers. He was so sharp. He remembers that on my older daughter's graduation, that our car broke down on the way to her graduation. I mean, I forgot that. He was so sharp, so it was nice because we showed him all the pictures the night before he passed. Back in 2000, Dad was able to come to California, spend extended time with us, and he was able to help with Santa, so he was grandpa, he was able to help with the kids because he just had surgery, and so he came and spent an extended amount of time. And just moments that my kids cherish and will cherish forever. So one other thing my dad did is he taught me how to drive a 5-speed. Like all of us old school cousins, we probably all know how to drive 5-speed. All of us know how to drive stick shifts. You know where I learned? He's like, if you can drive on that cemetery hill with the stick shift. So he took me up there to teach me how to drive a stick shift, you know, because when you won't roll back, I'm like, it's kind of like that one saying, if you can dodge a ball, you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Well, if you can drive a stick shift on the cemetery hill, then you're pretty good. So, but he wanted us all to know how to drive a stick shift, and that's really cool. And then also, my dad has always been there to cheer me on. I played basketball, and I could hear him, he and my mom yelling, "Shoot, shoot!" Why? And then he'd ask me afterwards, like, "Why did you take the shot?" I'm like, "Dad, I wasn't open." "No, you just got to shoot," you know. So I think that's a testament to him too. It's always take the shot. Don't be afraid to fail. And that's the thing that he taught us, and that's what I feel like our family is grit. Like we're not afraid to try things and take the shot. He also came to my Marine Corps graduation. Him, my mom, Aunt Vera, Uncle Mike came down there to cheer me on. They drove over 5 hours to see me down there. And you know, it was just so nice to have family there after not seeing people at boot camp for like 10 weeks, you know, to have family down there to support me. So I always felt like he was my #1 fan, and that's just how parents should be. So he never judged, no matter how upset he was with any of us. He loved us all, and he loved the cousins. He loved all of you. He loved his brothers and sisters. He loved my mom's brothers and sisters. He loved everyone at the church. And it's just like, I mean, like Stephen says, you don't know what you miss until he's gone. And, you know, like I said, you always want one more minute. There's so many things that went through my mind that I wanted to say to him, but I know that he felt them. And like I said earlier, he emulated Jesus in his ability to forgive. And he never held a grudge with anyone. And so to my dad, I say, I will miss you, Dad. You raised me to persevere and love unconditionally. Even though I would wake up far away from you, I always knew you were here on this earth, so life was good. And my heart hurts now that I know I'm not going to see you again. But I know I will see you in heaven, and I know you're watching down. So I love you, always.